Okay, so you've just built a time machine and your first destination is Egypt, 2670 BC. You are eager to finally see how the mysterious pyramids were built. Unfortunately, your time machine malfunctioned and transports you 800 kilometers away from Cairo to a small unknown village somewhere in the vast desert. Adamant to still reach your destination, you ask a local to borrow their camel. Let's just assume you know where to go, how to speak the native tongue, and how to ride a camel. The owner agrees but says, "You will have to offer me something in return, of course." So, how will you pay that person? What would be of value to this person? With what type of money or currency could you barter? And so, with no currency of value or even recognizable, there goes your dream to find out whether it was aliens, giants, or who knows what that built the ancient wonders that are the pyramids. And all because you didn't know how to pay for that camel. Money, money, money. It makes the world go around. We all know it, we all want it, and we can't live without it. But have you ever wondered, what is the story behind it? Where did it originate from? Why are there so many forms of it? And how can a few paper notes equal to something like a car? In this video, we will look at the origin of money. Don't give up on your pyramid dreams just yet. With your newfound knowledge, you will buy that camel after all. Get your time machine ready, ladies and gentlemen. Let's delve into the history and lore of money. Money, whether represented by a metal coin, a piece of paper, or a shell, it has been used throughout history as a trade unit. It is already valuable merely because it is known and accepted as a form of payment and trade, which allows us to acquire whatever we need and want, given that you have enough of it. However, throughout history, both the usage and the form of money has evolved significantly. But what exactly is money and what is it not? While most of the time the term money and currency are used interchangeably, there are several theories that suggest that these terms are not identical. According to some definitions, money is inherently an intangible concept, while currency is the physical manifestation of the intangible concept of money. In layman terms, money can't be smelt or touched. Rather, currency is the coin, note, and object that is the representation of money. No one can exactly determine when money first became a concept, but we know it has been part of human history for at least 3,000 years. Before that, historians agreed that bartering was probably used as a form of payment. Now, what on earth is bartering? It is the direct trade of goods and services. For example, a farmer may exchange a bush of wheat or even a piece of meat for a pair of sandals from a shoemaker. However, these arrangements takes time. Consider for a moment that everything people owned back then was basically essential goods: food, animal skins, salt, and weapons. So parting with these kind of items meant that you had to trade something just as essential and useful. And as you can imagine, that is not an easy task, as people's needs vary greatly from person to person as time passes. Nonetheless, this form of trade was the early norm and formed the basis for the exchange of one thing for another. The goal being that both parties leave satisfied, having received something they deemed to be of sufficient worth. In a short period, this system of trading, so-called bartering, was used across the world and is actually still used in some places today. Perhaps those old seashells on the shelf or that sparkly rock that you picked up can make you rich on some faraway island. Who knows? Then came the concept of money, something which in itself doesn't do anything, yet it enables the trade and business around it. It changed everything. It standardized much of what was uncertain and subjective before. It sped up the pace with which business could be done, whether it was hiring someone for mammoth slaying for those valuable tusks or building a monument. It was around 770 to 760 BC when the Chinese people were the first to change from using actual objects or services as the exchange currency to using miniature bronze cast replicas of the same objects. Well, as game-changing as it was, needless to say that it wasn't practical. I guess a few people got frustrated with being poked by a miniature knife while feeling for the bread idol in their pockets. One thing that will not leave you wounded while doing your shopping are those like and subscribe buttons. Give it a try and help us grow this channel with more amazing content. As time went on, these tiny objects were eventually abandoned and they started using circles as a more user-friendly object. And thus, the birth of the first coins arose. Even though China was first to use an object that modern people might recognize as coins, Europe was the first region in the world to use an industrial facility to manufacture coins to be used as the formal currency. It was developed in Lydia, now known as Turkey. Interesting fact, this type of facility is called a mint in modern times, and the process is referred to as minting. In 600 BC, the king of Lydia, Aleates, minted the first official known currency. They made the coins from electrum, a mixture of natural gold and silver. The coins were then stamped by the picture of denominations, in most cases resembling their state's religion. In the case of Roman currency of that time, the Caesar's face was printed on the coin because they were seen as human manifestations of the Roman gods. These coins are called punch-marked coins, and if you are lucky enough to ever stumble onto one of these ancient coins, they can be worth quite a fortune. Needless to say, the new way of trading by coin currency helped the country increase both its internal and external trading systems. It made Lydia one of the richest empires in Asia. If you have ever heard of the term as rich as a Croesus, it refers to the last Lydian king who minted the first gold coin. The Chinese were first to realize that the problem with the use of such coins was that it was expensive to produce. They needed a cheaper currency going forward. It was more and more difficult to mine and it was very dangerous. So, roughly around 700 BC, China moved from these coins to paper money. Is it just me, or are the Chinese people truly masters of finding cheaper alternatives? Even to this day, looks like made in China goes back much further than we thought. When famous merchant, explorer and writer Marco Polo traveled through Asia along the Silk Road between 1271 and 1295 AC, the Emperor of China had a good supply of coins as well as the new form of currency, the paper. Did you know that in the place where modern America's bills say, "In God we trust," the Chinese inscription in the time of Marco Polo's visit said, "Those who are counterfeiting will be decapitated." This new currency, though, wasn't implemented everywhere in the world for many centuries to come. Some parts of Europe still used metal coins as a sole form of currency until the 16th century. Why? Well, because they did not have a shortage of resources like precious metals needed to make the coins because of the colonial efforts and acquisitions of new territories. It was because of the transition of banks from coin to paper banknotes that inspired them to change. This paper money was used to exchange their face value in metal, silver or gold coins. It could also be used to buy goods and services. Does this sound familiar? Yes, it is almost like the operation of currency of today, but it was issued by banks and private institutions and not the government like most countries in modern times. The first European currency was issued by the colonial governments in North America. Because the shipments between these two countries took so long, the colonizers often ran out of cash as operations expanded. But instead of going back to the old barter system, the colonial governments issued IOUs that traded as a currency. It wasn't long after this that most of the world got on this new trend of paper money as the new currency. When Europe shifted to paper money, the amount of international trade drastically increased. Ruling classes and banks started buying currencies from other nations and created the first currency market. Was this a good thing? Well, the stability of some monarchies and the government affected the value of the country's currency. This gave birth to the ability for that country to trade on an increasingly international market. In the end, this led to currency wars, where competing countries would try to change the value of the competitor's currency by driving it up and making the opponent's goods very expensive. Today, we can call this the stock market. In modern times, two new forms of currency arose. Mobile payments, meaning money rendered for a product or service through an electronic device such as cell phones, computers, and so on. And also virtual currency, like Bitcoin. Most of the world uses this facility now. It made life easier knowing that you don't have to carry a pocket full of cash with you anymore. But, as we all likely know, this is far from the final form of currency. In 2009, pseudonymous Satoshi Nakamoto released Bitcoin and it quickly became the standard for virtual currencies. This currency has no physical coinage and offers the promise of lower transaction fees compared to common methods. One can only wonder what the next evolutionary step in money will be. One thing we can say for sure is that life got a lot easier as time went on. So, will you be able to buy that camel now? Just make sure you take enough chickens and hide with you to trade with, and you will be fine. Hopefully. Money has taken many steps and made much advancements. It has a very real and significant effect on how we live and do business today. It truly did change the world for the better, even if you don't have a lot of it. Money truly makes the world go around. Thank you for watching. Until next time.